Hello, my dear students. We are studying the Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. And under this act, today we'll cover one important topic, that is penalties and procedure given under Section 13 of the Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act. And we will also go for the revision of interpretation of standing orders. We have covered this in previous lecture also. Today we'll go for the revision of this important topic, interpretation of standing orders. So for the penalties and procedure is concerned, it is given under Section 13 of Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. As per Section 13, an employer who fails to submit draft standing orders or who modifies his standing orders violating Section 10 shall be punishable with fine up to 5,000 rupees. So, an employer who fails to submit draft of standing orders as required by Section 3 or who modifies his standing orders otherwise than in accordance with Section 10 shall be punishable with a fine which may extend up to rupees 5,000, and in the case of a continuing offense with a further fine which may extend to rupees 200 for every day after the first during which the offense continues. So this Section 13 says that an employer who fails to submit the draft of standing orders, what is required by the Section 3, or if any employer who makes some sort of modifications or modifies his standing orders otherwise than in accordance with Section 10, then in that case, that employer shall be punishable with a fine which may extend to rupees 5,000, and in case of a continuing offense with a further fine which may extend to rupees 200 for every day after the first during the offense continues. So this is the penalty and fine provision given under Section 13(1). Under Section 13(2), it says that an employer who does any act, in contravention of the standing orders finally certified under this act for his industrial establishment shall be punishable with a fine which may extend to rupees 100. And in a case of continuing offense with a further fine which may extend to rupees 25 for every day after the first during which the offense continued. So, when employer who is doing any act which is in contravention of the standing orders, and these standing orders were finally certified under this act, an employer is just contravening the provisions of those standing orders, then in that case, that employer shall be punishable with fine, and that fine may be extended up to rupees 100, and in case of continuing offense with a further fine which may extend to rupees 25 every day after the first during which the offense continues. So this is again a provision given under the act, and if we talk about Section 13(3), Then no prosecution for an offense punishable under this section shall be instituted except with the previous sanction of the appropriate government. Means there will be no prosecution for an offense punishable under this section shall be instituted except with the previous sanction of the appropriate government. So you have to obtain the permission, or you have to take the permission or the previous sanction from the appropriate government, then only you can prosecute for an offense which is punishable under this section. And no code, the other provision given under section 13(4) is that no court inferior to that of a metropolitan magistrate. Section 13(4) says that no court inferior to that of a metropolitan magistrate or judicial magistrate of the second class shall try any offense under this section. So no court which is inferior to the metropolitan magistrate or the judicial magistrate of the second class shall try any offense under this section. So these are the provisions given under section 13. Section 13(1) says that employer fails to submit the draft of standing orders as required by section 3, or if the employer modifies the standing orders otherwise than in accordance with section 10, shall be punishable with fine, and which may extend to rupees 5,000, and in case of continuing offense with a further fine which may extend to rupees 200 for every day after the first during which the offense continues. And an employer who does any act in contravention of the standing order finally certified under this act for his industrial establishment shall be punishable, which may extend to rupees 100, and if the employer is continuing with that offense, then this fine may be extended to rupees 25 for every day after the first during which the offense continues. And no prosecution or an offense punishable under this section shall be instituted except with the previous sanction of the appropriate government, and no court inferior to that of a metropolitan magistrate or the judicial magistrate of the second class shall try any offense under this section. So these are the provisions given under this section 13. Now we'll go for the revision of the interpretation of Standing Orders Acts given under section 13A. Though we have covered this in the previous lecture, but here we would like to go for the revision of that. And under this section 13A, the Act provides that the if any question arises as to application or interpretation of standing orders certified under this Act, any employer or workman or trade union or representative body of the workman may refer the question to any one of the labor courts which are constituted under the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 and specified for the disposal of such proceedings by the appropriate government by notification in the official gazette. And the labor court to which this question is so referred shall, after giving the parties an opportunity of being heard, decide the question, and such decision shall be final and binding on all the parties. So this is means the provision given under this section. And there is an important case related to that, Motilal versus Bharat Electronics Limited, and it was held in this case that the determination of the labor court is made final and binding on the parties. Further, it was also held that the language of section 13A is not very clear, and it cannot certainly be understood as creating a forum for adjudication of industrial disputes involving the application or interpreting the standing orders. That is the function of the courts and tribunals constituted under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. And the limited purpose of this section 13A is to provide a forum for determination of any question arising as to the application or interpretation of the certified standing orders as such. As such, in case either the employer or the employees entertain a doubt as to their meaning of their applicability, then this interpretation of standing orders is required. So it's an important case, Motilal versus Bharat Electronics Limited case given. So my dear students, today we have gone through these two important topics. One is related to the penalties and procedures and the interpretation of standing orders. Here I would like to share with you the power to exemption that is given under section 14, and this section empowers the appropriate government to exempt any industrial establishment from being subject or to all or any of the provisions of this act, either conditionally or unconditionally. And any industrial establishment or class of industrial establishment from all or any of the provisions of this act. So the power given under section 14 to the appropriate government, that this appropriate government may, by notification in the official gazette, may exempt with certain conditions or without condition, unconditionally, an industrial establishment or class of industrial establishments from all or any of the provisions of the act. And power is also given under section 14A to the appropriate government to delegate the powers under the act, and appropriate government by notification in the official gazette direct that any power exercisable by it under this act or any rules made thereunder shall in relation to such matter and subject to such condition, if any, as may be specified in the direction A, where the appropriate government is the central and such officer or the authorities which is subordinate to central government or the state government, or by such officer or authority subordinate to the state government as may be specified in the notification, then these powers can be delegated to that officer or the authority. And where the appropriate government is a state government, by such officer or the authority subordinate to the state government as may be specified in the notification. So section 14A empowers the appropriate government, whether it is the central government or the state government, that they can go for or they can direct the power which are accessible under the act to the officer or any authority. So this is another power which an appropriate government may exercise given under section 14A of this Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. So my dear students, today we have just gone through these three topics: penalties and procedure we have gone through, the revision of interpretation of standing orders we have done, and the power to exempt given under section 14, and the delegation of powers given under section 14. So this is all about for today's lecture, my dear students, and I believe this lecture will help you and you will understand these concepts what we have discussed today. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.